Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today day 5 of ServiceNow fundamental series, and today I'm going to cover most foundational concept that underpins all customization tools. The difference between client side and server side execution. If you understand this concept clearly, everything that follows in the customization section, that means UI policies, UI actions, business rules and client scripts, will become much easier to understand and apply. So before understanding client side and server side in ServiceNow, uh, I mean, what is desktop application versus web application? Why this distinction, differentiation matters? So it helps to understand the broader category that ServiceNow belongs to, web applications. The distinction between desktop and web applications is a foundation for understanding where code runs and where data lives. Okay, so if you see on the screen, desktop applications are the software programs that are installed directly on your local machine. They store their data locally, either on your hard drive or within their own application folder. Example, we can include that Microsoft Excel, Photoshop, and Notepad. These applications do not require an internet connection to run, and their data does not leave your machine unless you explicitly share it. Okay, you can see the other examples as well, like Adobe Photoshop, Notepad, VLC Media Player, all run locally and store data on your machine. And if you come to web applications are accessed through a browser and store their data on remote servers hosted in data centers. So for this, you need an internet connection to use them. Example, Facebook, YouTube, Gmail, and again, ServiceNow. When you interact with a web application, your actions are sent over the internet to a server, which processes the request and returns a response to your browser. Okay, so let's jump into our today's topic. What is client side? If you see the definition, as we are in the context of ServiceNow, right? The client side refers to everything that happens on the user's machine, specifically within their web browser. This is the Chrome browser, right? So when you open your browser, like it might be Chrome, Edge, Firefox, etc., anything, and navigate to your ServiceNow instance URL, your browser is the client. So this is what I'm talking about. Like I have opened the URL of my PDI, and whatever you are seeing here, okay, so your browser is this is what you are seeing, right? This is a client. Actions that execute in the browser without needing to contact the server are client side operations. So client side basically refers to the code and processes that run in the user's web browser. In ServiceNow, client side operations happen without waiting for a server response. Just try to remember this single line. You will get to know like everything on the client side. So in ServiceNow, client side operations happen without waiting for a server response. They are immediate and visible in the browser. And if we come to like client side in daily use, when we work with this PDI, or when we work in ServiceNow, for example, a field becomes mandatory instantly after you change a drop down. So let me open any uh, record producer. I'm just clicking here. This one, create incident, I'm opening. This is the record producer. Just an example. You can open anything and you can check. If I click here, try it. It is opening on the. If you see here, urgency and something we have to enter, right? If I click high or if I click low, I mean, you can see here the mandatory thing, right? So this is what I'm talking. A field becomes suddenly like mandatory instantly after you change it drop down. That happened on the client side. For example, if I click high, okay, if I click on this high, then maybe this please describe your issue might be made into like mandatory. Okay, so this is not currently appearing like that. We can create that further in this session, no worries. So the browser handled it without going to the server itself. Client side operations are fast because there is no network round trip required, right? So it no need to go back to the server and check and get back the result. Here client side operations are um, that is the reason like client side operations are fast because it is handled without going to the server itself. So ServiceNow tools that primarily operate client side include UI policies and client scripts. So whatever the use case we have discussed just now, right? Like on click of any drop down option, the instantly or immediately the below question or dependency question will become mandatory true. Okay, so these things can be operate using like in client side using UI policies or client scripts. I'm again going back to the definition of now what is server side. If you see here, the server side refers to the everything that happens on the ServiceNow infrastructure, specifically on the application server and database server, which is housed in ServiceNow's data centers. For example, like when you submit a record and search for an incident or apply a filter that requires database action, your browser sends a request to the application server, which in turn queries the database server, then retrieves the data and sends it back to your browser. So, server side refers to the code and processes that run on ServiceNow application server or database server. These require a network request from the browser and a response from the server before the user sees any result. If we again go to server side in daily use, for example, when you click submit on an incident form, here we have this, right? I'm just entered something test or something. If I click on this submit, okay, and ServiceNow validates the record against the rules before saving only. Okay, that is called server side. When data gets fetched from the database to populate your list view, that is server side. Let me, instead of this record producer, let me show you one more. I can open from list view only. I mean incident table. If you see here, if I click new, we have currently 79 records. I'm just selecting random and whatever mandatory, I'm just filling them. And once I click on here, we have this save or submit button, right? Once I click on this save, okay, if I again go back to the list view, you can see here, right? 80 it become. And let me sort by open by. Just now I have created with a test, right? You can see this. So it was added to the list view. When data gets fetched from the database to populate your this list view, right? That is called server side. ServiceNow tools that operate server side include business rules and data policies. How data travels? I mean the full request cycle. I want to just explain you very clearly on this end, because this is the first step to go for scripting part, or this is the foundational step. Okay, I'm showing on the screen very clearly using this document. Please follow the video like thoroughly. So the request response flow. Understanding exactly how data flows between client and server helps clarify why we have both client side and server side tools and when to use each. Here is the complete flow. When you search for an incident in ServiceNow, you see like step 1 is client to server. You type an incident number in the search field, right, on your browser and press enter. Your browser sends an HTTP request to the ServiceNow application server. So let me show you this thing. Let me close this. Okay, I'm just copying this number. Okay, I'm telling that I'm searching here in the number column. Okay, once I click enter. Okay, once I click enter, what it will doing is this browser sends an HTTP request to the ServiceNow application server. Okay, see if I click here, something is running. That means the browser is sends an HTTP request to the ServiceNow application server. What it will do in the step 2, app server or application server to database server. So here I'm again going back to the document so that you can see see this clearly. The application server receives your request and queries the database server stored in ServiceNow's data center for the incident record matching your search. So whatever you are searching, to match that search, it will the application server receives your request. What is your request? To check whether the number is existed or not. If it is existed, give that record. Okay, and queries the database server stored in ServiceNow's data center for the incident record matching your search. Then step 3, from database server, again something should be returned to the application server, right? So the database server retrieves the record from storage and returns it to the application server. So this is what we got already, right? So here what happens is the database server searched and it retrieves the record from the storage and it returns to the application server. And again, now application server formats the data and sends it back to your browser as a HTTP response. Now your browser renders the form view of the incident or the list view of the incident. So this is called RTT. Round trip time is the local time it takes for a request to travel from client, that means browser, to the server, be processed and returned to the client. So in ServiceNow troubleshooting, RTT is a key performance metric. Again, why this matters for customization? Why these all things matters for customization? So let's connect that concept to customization tools. Okay, every ServiceNow customization tool has a specific side where it operates, and choosing right tool means understanding which side you need to work on for your requirement. So here we have, as we discussed in the introduction itself of today's video, on client side we have UI policy, client script, and on the server side we have business rule and data policy, right? And we have other script includes and everything. Those things will be like follow up to these concepts only. So go this through like thoroughly. Let me zoom little more. Okay. So UI policy. Again, UI policy is a client side. We have to use when we need to show or hide fields or set mandatory or read only states instantly in the browser as a user fills in a form. No server call is needed. Okay, I'll demonstrate one by one, no worries. Okay, so again, and client script, this is also client side. We use when you need custom browser side logic, like showing an alert when a specific priority is selected or validating input before submission. And again, we have these other two, business rule and data policy, on the server side. When we use this business rule, when you need to enforce rules at the database level, that means we are calling server to get some response from that. Okay, like preventing a record from being saved if certain conditions are not met, or automatically updating a field when a record is inserted or updated. And when we use the data policy, when you need to enforce mandatory or read-only rules that apply even to data coming in from external systems, APIs, or import sets, not just users working in the browser. So client-side tools are faster for the user because no server call is needed. And server-side tools are more powerful and secure because they cannot be bypassed by the browser. We have to use both appropriately based on the requirement we get. So let's observe client versus server in action. So just open your PDI, navigate to this incident list. I'm just removing this once again. I just showed you, right? I just copied the incident number and paste here. I'm just searching for this copied number. Observe the form loading. This, whatever the result we get, right? That means it is checking browser to app server to database, database to browser. Is server side what it is working? Again, open a new incident form. If I click here, new incident form, note like this caller field and short description fields are marked as mandatory. Like you can see that star symbol, right? This happened immediately on page load without a server call itself. This is client side UI policy working is called. And you know, right, way to check their product documentation. We have to visit docs.servicenow.com and search personalized form to show to check how to find like deeper. Let me open that instead of showing that. Just check for docs.servicenow.com. Okay, here you can search for the product documentation, whatever you need, and you can go through that documentation. I'll demonstrate each, like you got the point, right? What is the thing, where the client side is working, where the how the server side is working, right? So even you can search here client script, UI policies, business rules, and data policies on the menu. And please go through that before coming to this day 6. So today key takeaways are, we have learned the difference or distinction between web application and like how it will work on the client side, server side, and what are the ServiceNow tools we use for client side and server side. So choosing the right customization tool requires knowing whether your requirement is best handled on client side or server side. So these perfection will come when we go through these topics or concepts from scratch. So if you want to understand it little bit more, go through this video once again. You will get, definitely you will get that. So with the I'll be back with the day 6 with the client side and server side, again the complete foundation in place, where I dive into first major customization tool, UI policies, and I will show you how to set fields mandatory, read only, or hidden or visible based on the condition, all without writing a single line of code. Okay, thank you.